Hey guys, welcome back to TSI. I'm Dave. Thanks for watching. So if you've seen my posts on ARG, you've noticed that I've kind of gotten into the shotgun, and I've also been posting about a certain shotgun that I now own. Now, I do own a pump action. I own a Remington 870, 1960s production, that was later sent into Wilson Combat for customization. It's a great shotgun, there's no doubt of that. But there's some things I don't really like about it. Mostly the safety, and mostly the fact that I wanted to change it up a little bit. I actually prefer semi-automatic everything in terms of a gun type. Shotgun, a pump-action shotgun, is a very reliable platform, for lack of a better term. But the way my logic or the way my brain reason this is that I'd rather have to do less. Meaning that with a pump-action shotgun, you have the chance of short shucking and all that kind of stuff. And with training, that obviously can be overcome, but I'd rather just skip the whole process. I'd rather just go semi-automatic. And modern semi-automatic guns, shotguns, are actually extremely reliable. And they will function with most rounds. Not all of them, and that's sort of the advantage of the pump action. So I went all in, and I got a Benelli M4. Now, right off the bat, I'm going to tell you that I'm no shotgun expert. I'm actually really new to the system. Until a month ago, I wasn't really that interested in shotguns. I just, because around here with the range that I have, it's not that easy to shoot shotguns, and I mean in the sense that a lot of them don't allow you to shoot shot, and slugs are typically very expensive. And at the time I figured, well, might as well just buy a bunch of 223 because it's cheaper. But as time has gone on, I just have become, I favored this system a little bit more. Mostly because it is a very good home defense gun. And I've been explained in the past that if you have a shotgun and you've got double-aught buck in it, you're pretty much the world's greatest MP5 shooter. Because you're basically shooting 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or however many pellets you've got, 32 ACP cartridges all at the same time. So yeah, that's kind of considerable. It's kind of a considerable amount of firepower. Also, my dad is really deeply into shotguns, and I thought it would be a great way for him and I to bond a little bit further. He's a lot more knowledgeable than I am in a bunch of different areas. So I bought one. And I want to give you guys, again, I prefer not to do direct reviews because I honestly don't have too many rounds through this. I might have a little bit over 100 rounds, maybe a little bit under 100 rounds. And I just want to give you my initial impressions and what I've discovered about this gun so far. Okay, so let's start out. Is this gun good? Does the $2,000 price tag, is it justified? Yes and no. It's really fucking expensive, the Benelli M4. It's an expensive shotgun. And that's really its main problem. It's $2,000, basically. It wasn't exactly $2,000, but $1,500 sometimes. Sometimes you can find them for $1,700. This particular one was about $1,700. So there's that. It kind of cooks your wallet a little bit. But what you get in return is you get a gun that is extremely smooth shooting. You get a gun that is reliable with most ammunition types that I've put through it, with a few notable exceptions that I'm going to go into. Basically, this gun makes shooting a shotgun a lot more pleasant. Shooting buckshot through it and slugs and everything, it's easily I don't know, it's hard to really calculate percentages, but if I were to just guesstimate something, I would say it's easily a 25% decrease in overall recoil because of the gas system. And that's important to note about these shotguns. This is actually a gas-operated shotgun. The Benelli M1 and M2s are inertia-operated, meaning that they use the inertia of the round to actually propel the action. This uses the actual gas, so it's more similar to something like an AR-15 and an AK, which actually uses the gas of the round which is being fired to run the action. So, something like that. Okay, another thing that I really like about this gun is just its friendliness to left-handed people. I have not changed the safety out yet. It's a crossbolt safety. And if you know me, if you've seen the channel a long enough time, you know that I fucking hate crossbolt safeties. I fucking hate them because they're generally not very friendly to left-handed shooters. You have to do all this weird-ass shit. This is reversible. I haven't done it yet, but I plan to soon. Other things about this gun. Oh yes, how does it function with different types of ammo? For the most part, it works with everything I put through it. We'll go over some of the ammo types. This one is just regular Rio birdshot. It's just birdshot. The Rio works okay. It's not perfect, but then again, I'm sort of expecting that. It is a low power round, and these guns will have trouble shooting low power rounds sometimes. The other one is Remington buckshot, and obviously there's no problem with the buckshot at all, ever. I've never had a problem with it. So right about this time in the video, you're probably thinking, why the fuck would you buy a beautiful Benelli M4 and run birdshot through it? The answer, very simply, is because birdshot is really cheap. Really cheap. At Walmart, you can get 100 packs, and if you do the calculation, it's 21 cents a shot. And I'm not going to be practicing with buckshot all the time because it's pretty expensive. At about 65 cents a round, depending on what you use, it's just not really that sustainable. Could you do it? Yes, but I have a lot of other mouths to feed in terms of guns. So I'm cheap, and if I can get it cheap, I'll do it. So with that said, with birdshot, I noticed that the only rounds, or rather the different type of shot shells that I've used, the only one where I had significant problems was Fiocchi low recoil slugs. Those things do not like this gun, and this gun doesn't like them. They just don't work well together. It didn't cause any major issues. All I had to do was just cycle the action every single time, but it just doesn't work very well. With that said, the Fiocchi rounds are really pleasant to shoot, but this gun does not like them. Okay, also, I don't have an example with me, but federal target loads. This gun from the very beginning has 8 federal target loads, like they're nothing, like absolutely nothing. It just chugs and chugs and chugs with the federal target loads. Even the federal target loads that were made in the 1980s. As I said, my dad was really into shotguns, and when he was younger, he used to do a lot of trap skeet shooting, all that kind of stuff. And I found a literal treasure trove of 12 gauge target loads, and I ran them through this gun, and it's like I just didn't give a shit. It was perfectly fine with it. What's cool about the gun in terms of ergonomics, like I said, it was pretty left-hand friendly. So just a basic thing, since I am left-handed, you're going to be seeing me doing it as a left-hand perspective. So basically, when you load the shotgun, you would obviously put it in the tube, but it's really important to know something, and it's something that people have to do research on. This is a snap cap. Okay, so let's say that you put a round in the chamber like this. You press this button over here. I know it's kind of hard to see, but there's a bolt release right here. Push it. Now you've got a round in the chamber. Okay, now you're going to put another snap cap in there. Now I'm going to cycle the action manually. Did I load a round? I did not. And the reason why is because the way this gun works is that it will only load the next round if the trigger is pushed. So now it's going to load a round. So if you can see, it loaded a round. That's kind of important to know. For the simple reason is that when you use shotguns, you typically keep them in a cruiser-ready position, meaning that you do not keep a round in the chamber. And the reason why that is because these guns are typically not drop safe. So if your dog or the cat kind of like hits up against it and this thing falls over, and you've got a round in the chamber in your closet, the chance of it going off is pretty likely. It's not 100%, but I'd rather not take that chance. So when you do load this, make sure that you keep obviously the tube loaded. Then, if I can show you, let's just pretend that I just loaded it. There's the stuff in the tube. In order to get the shell onto the carrier, which would then enable you to just simply run the action like this to get a round in the chamber, you press this button right here. So at that point, it would actually eject the shell onto the carrier, and you'd have one ready to go, and you just simply run the action. Of course, this time, there's no rounds in the chamber, so it's going to do that instead. All right, so a couple of the upgrades that I've actually done to this gun. As you can see, it's extremely minimalist. Very minimalist. I didn't initially start off with putting all rails and all that horse shit on the gun, because simply put, I'm a civilian, and I don't plan to go fucking Rambo on people in the near future. So, just to go over the upgrades. This is an Elzetta light mount. It's a ZF something. Maybe I'll put a link in the description below. It's an Elzetta light mount with a Surefire G2X. And I've already fucked up a little bit. Because when I first started getting into lights on guns, I got a dual output. My My logic was, well, if I need more light, I can just hit the light and then it'll come on. It'll have dual output. I didn't really know a lot about house clearing tactics and what to do and everything like that. Generally speaking, you don't want a dual output because you're going to be turning on and turning off the light at a rapid pace. This is to make sure that the guy or the enemy or the foe or whatever you want to call it, who is you're fighting or you're trying to clear your building or whatever, you're trying to fight him, trying to get him, whatever. He can't tell where you are at all times because obviously a light does give away your position a little bit. Now don't do that shit where you're like, oh, if you have a light on your gun, Brown's just gonna come and fucking find you. No, it's not like that. But just like everything else, you've got to use some discretion. You got to make sure that you have at least some element of surprise. And in a dark situation, a big ass light does in fact show your position. So what typically people do is they'll turn on and off the lights just to keep people guessing. It's just a simple tactic, but it's pretty effective. So as you can tell, I'm left-handed, so the light is on the right side. Now what's cool about this mount is that it can be reversed. So if you're a right-handed guy, you can reverse it either way. But it's pretty simple. I just go like this. Pretty easy to get, and there's actually a momentary on that you can just run with your thumb. In the future, I do plan to replace this with a single output light, but for now, it's something that I have. I'm not going to bother buying something else. Another 60 bucks, and then basically have a useless light. So I'm just going to deal with it for now. Other upgrades I plan to do in the future, I'm going to get a shell carrier, obviously. I don't need one right now because I'm a civilian, and I'm not really going to be reloading that quickly in a house. If you're doing that, then you'll probably have some serious problems if you're reloading a shotgun and your tube is run dry. Upgrades in the future also include magazine extension. Out of the factory, these guns come with a 5+1 capacity, meaning 5 rounds in the tube and 1 in the chamber. So for a total of 6 rounds. If you add an extension, you can get 7+1. So you'll have 7 rounds in the tube, 1 in the chamber. Now, if you're from New York, which if you've watched the channel, you know that I am from New York, you might say, oh my God, you've got 8 rounds in your fucking shotgun? No, actually. I have 7. New York doesn't count the 1 in the tube as a round in the gun, even though it essentially is. So New York judges based on the capacity of the actual tube. So if it's a 7-round capacity in the tube, you're good. Okay, we can clear that up. Also, in New York, there's been this thing about no pistol grips on shotguns. That's not true either. You can have a pistol grip on a semi-automatic shotgun. You just cannot have that in addition to a bayonet lug or a what's pistol grip, bayonet lug, or a capacity greater than 8 rounds. So the FNSLP, I think it has a capacity greater than that in the tube. That's a no-go, but the Benelli M4 is. Oddly enough, on the Safe Act registry, or the guns that are considered assault weapons just right off the bat, straight up, no fucking negotiating, there are a bunch of guns like the Remington Versamax, but somehow the Benelli M4 escaped that. I don't know how, it just did, and anyway, now you might be saying, well, why did you get the straight stock as opposed to the pistol grip stock? Are you some kind of old school fart who doesn't like tactical stuff? I love tactical stuff. I mean, obviously I own a Benelli M4, but honestly, I actually prefer the straight stock a little bit, just because I think it absorbs the recoil a little bit more, in my own experience. Now, my buddy Mike, who is also an ARG, he actually has a Benelli M4, and it has a pistol grip. So we actually were kind of experimenting with both. The pistol grip stock is really good if you're just holding it and you're doing something, you gotta do whatever, you gotta manipulate. It's really good for that, and I really like that. So maybe in the future I might get the pistol grip stock, but for now, perfectly satisfied with it. What else before I conclude this video? Field strip on this gun. I'm not going to do it on camera because there are plenty of videos on YouTube about it, but it's very easy. I would even argue it's easier than a Remington 870 because there's no screwing around with the pressing of the detents or the clips inside and shoving the bolt in and doing all that balancing act on the carrier while you're putting it back in. It's easy. It's designed for the Marine Corps, it's designed for military folks, and it's generally not going to be complicated because who wants a complicated gun when you're being shot at? So really guys, so far so good. I really enjoy this. One last thing. This is an SOE sling, and that's about it. I'm going to replace this in the future for various reasons. mostly because John Willis is an asshole. Anyway, I didn't say that, did I? Anyway, I just want to say that I really do enjoy this gun. It's just a wonderful product. Again, does the $2,000 price tag sort of color my opinion of it? It might. When you spend that kind of money, you want to justify your purchase. So maybe a little bit, but for so far, so good, man. Everything I've put through it, with exception to a couple of loads, has worked absolutely fantastically. Really not too many complaints on it. The main one being the price tag, which, as you know, is pretty expensive. Anyways, guys, thanks a lot for watching the videos. This is, again, just a general overview of my impressions of the Benelli M4 shotgun. I'm going to do more updates, and maybe one day I'll do a full review. As I said, I kind of don't like doing full reviews because I just simply don't have the time, the experience. Most importantly, I don't have the experience or the actual rounds down range. I don't like to pick up a gun, shoot 100 rounds, and say, best gun ever, even though this gun does have quite a good track record. It's proven itself in combat multiple times. People on this page, or rather this channel, TSI, will tell you, because they've seen them in combat, that they're war-winning implements. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching, and I look forward to your comments, and I look forward to updating you more on the Benelli M4. Have a good one, guys.